All right, today we're diving into something pretty fascinating, a pilot study on a therapy called frequency-specific microcurrent, or FSM for short. Now, this technique raises a really cool question. Can tiny, low-level electrical frequencies actually help relieve the physical symptoms of stress? Let's take a look at what the research found.
But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever been so stressed out that you just started to feel physically sick? You know, that bone-deep exhaustion, the headaches, the stomach problems? Yeah, it's a super common experience, and it's the exact problem this study set out to tackle.
You know, that physical toll stress takes on us actually has a scientific name, somatic symptoms. And these are real physical complaints. This isn't just all in your head. They are directly linked to what's going on with us mentally and emotionally.
And I'm willing to bet these symptoms look pretty familiar to a lot of you. We're talking about that deep fatigue, muscle pain, constant headaches, stomach issues, and even feeling short of breath for no reason. The research paper points to these as classic examples of how our minds can literally make our bodies feel sick. So what's actually happening inside our bodies to cause all this? Well, think of your body as having this built-in alarm system. It's called the HPA axis. When you're under chronic stress, it's like that alarm is just stuck in the on position. It never shuts off. It just keeps flooding your system with hormones like cortisol. And being in that constant state of red alert is what leads to all these physical problems.
So, okay, if stress is the problem, what's a possible solution? Well, this study we're looking at decided to investigate a pretty unique approach called frequency-specific microcurrent therapy.
All right, what in the world is FSM? It sounds super complex, I know, but the basic idea is actually pretty straightforward. It's a therapy that sends these extremely low-level electrical currents into the body. But the magic, supposedly, is in that frequency-specific part. It's all based on this concept called biological resonance. So how does this whole biological resonance thing work? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like tuning a radio. The theory goes that every single tissue in your body has its own unique frequency, its own station, if you will. FSM tries to deliver the exact right frequency to a specific tissue, with the goal of helping its cells kind of reset and get back to a balanced, healthy state.
But here's the million-dollar question. Does it actually work? I mean, it's a cool theory, but to find out for real, scientists had to put FSM to the test. And they set up a really smart, really rigorous experiment to see how it stacked up against other treatments. And this is so important. This wasn't just based on a few people saying it helped them. The researchers used what's called a randomized controlled trial, or RCT, which is pretty much the gold standard for medical research. This let them directly compare FSM against a known stress reducer, good old relaxation therapy, and a placebo to see what was really making a difference. Here's how they designed this clever study. They took 58 people and split them into 4 groups. The first group, EG1, got 12 straight sessions of FSM. The second group started with FSM, but then switched to relaxation therapy. The main control group, ACG, just did relaxation the whole time. And then there was the placebo group, PCG, who got a fake FSM treatment before they also switched to relaxation. Super thorough. Okay, so the stage is set. The experiment is running. So what did they find out? Well, the results, especially early on, were pretty eye-opening. Let's take a look. The first huge finding came just halfway through the study, after only 6 sessions. It turns out one of these therapies was already having a clearly faster and statistically significant effect on reducing those physical somatic symptoms we've been talking about. And get this, the results were striking. The group that only did relaxation therapy had an average symptom score of over 12. But the group that had received FSM therapy, wow, their score dropped all the way down to about 7.4. And remember, a lower score is way better. This wasn't just a small dip, it was a huge difference. It really suggests FSM might provide relief much, much faster. And that speed is a big deal. It could mean less time suffering and getting back to your life quicker.
So just to sum up that 6-week checkpoint, the groups that got FSM saw a faster drop in both their physical stress symptoms and in their negative emotions compared to the group just doing relaxation. The key word here really is faster.
Okay, a faster start is great news, for sure. But what happened by the very end of the study? Let's zoom out and look at the big picture after all 12 sessions were done.
This timeline really tells the whole story. At the very beginning, everyone was pretty much in the same boat. 6 sessions in, the FSM groups were clearly pulling ahead. But, and this is so fascinating, by the time they finished all 12 sessions, all of the active therapy groups showed huge improvements.
It didn't matter if they got FSM, relaxation, or a mix. Both their physical symptoms and their overall life satisfaction got a lot better.
So, what are the big takeaways here? First, FSM seems to work more quickly. That's a huge potential benefit. But second, given enough time, both FSM and standard relaxation therapy were very effective at cutting down stress and making people feel better about their lives. And of course, we got to remember what the scientists themselves said. This was a small, preliminary study. It was really designed to see if a bigger, more definitive trial would even be worth doing.
And here it is, the final word, straight from the authors of the study. They concluded that FSM looks like a promising treatment and that, yeah, these results are definitely strong enough to justify doing a larger, more in-depth study in the future. Which kind of leaves us with this really mind-bending final thought. We tune instruments. We tune our radios to get the perfect signal. Could the future of wellness involve something similar, actually tuning our own body's biological frequencies to get things back in balance? Based on this early research, it's a future that's absolutely worth exploring. Thanks for tuning in.